periodization in 12 weeks is a fundamental shift in the way we think and the way we act. And it starts with how you set your goals and how you build your plans. Because I remember when I first started my career, I used to get these cassette tapes. There weren't CDs, there weren't downloads, there was none of that technology. The big technology was a CD. And I would buy these things and I'd be, personal development and goal setting. And I heard about the magic of goal setting, right? And I pop these CDs in, I get all fired up. But I realized it really had to do with, the real magic was in the execution. And, but it's interesting because the fact is that I did what everybody did because that's what I learned. I set annual goals and I built an annual plan because that's what it was teaching me. And I broke it down quarterly and monthly and weekly. And I got good results, but something deep down inside felt like I wasn't getting what I was capable of. And as we began to work with our clients, we experienced the very same thing, right? We helped them set annual goals, build the plans, all of that. And again, we got good results and they were pretty happy with it. But Michael and I were feeling like, boy, there's more there. How do we tap that? And we realized that had to do more with our thinking than anything else. And it was this annual environment that we discovered was really holding people back. So listen, let me tell you this. Setting annual goals is a lot better than not setting any goals. But there are inherent barriers in the annual cycle. And it has more to do with our thinking and it translates to our actions. Right? So we're early January. Everybody in the world is fired up right now. Everybody couldn't wait to leave 2020 behind, and they're thinking best year ever. It's rare when I run into somebody in January and they're like, oh yeah, man, this year is really going to suck. That doesn't happen in January. Everybody's excited. Everybody's fired up, which is great. But here's what's going to happen. We're going to get to the end of January and most people are going to be behind their plan. Most people are going to be behind on their goal, but nobody's going to be worried. Why is that? Well, because the thinking says, hey, I got plenty of time. In this annual cycle, I got 11 more months to catch up. And we're going to get to the end of March, the first quarter. And most people are still going to be behind. Now, they're not happy with that, but still not too worried. Why? Because the mindset says, I got 3 more quarters. And that's the mindset that permeates the year until somewhere late in the year, something changes. Question for you. Why do we behave differently at the end of the year than we do the middle of the year? I'm actually looking in the chat. Panic mode. Okay. Paulette, what creates panic mode? Pressure, time crunch. Crunch time. Yeah, right. But what creates that? Why do we behave differently? Why don't we feel that in June and July? Why is it we start to feel it in October or November, something like that? Kenneth has it. Deadline. Right? There's a deadline there. The sense of urgency, Lisa, is created because of the deadline. So there's this line in the sand, a point at which we're going to measure our success or failure. And for most people, it's the end of December. Now, that's okay, but at one level, that's an arbitrary deadline. But does it have an impact? Oh, man, you bet it does. Right? As we start to draw near to that deadline, all of a sudden, our mindset shifts. Our thinking changes. And as we just looked at that framework, when our thinking changes, guess what happens? Our actions follow. So our thinking shifts from, boy, I got all this time, plenty of time, to, for some of us, it's, oh, crap, right? And all of a sudden, with that thinking shift, our actions change. We sweep aside the stuff that doesn't matter. So if I'm in a sales environment, I'm in a business environment, I sort of sweep aside all the non-revenue generating activities and I focus on what it's going to take. If it's on the personal side, I stop doing all that other stuff that didn't matter. And I pull out the stops and try and get it over the finish line, over the goal line, if you will. And in many cases, I get there, but it's at a huge cost. It creates a lot of stress. There's a lot of anxiety. Sometimes it's overwhelming. Sometimes we sacrifice family and holidays. And sometimes our health even is compromised in situations like that. And then there's this one sacrifice we make, this price we pay that we're even unaware of. And this may be the biggest price. And that is we leave all this capacity on the table. Because you may catch up and hit that goal, but you cannot go back and recoup capacity you left on the table last week, last month, last quarter. And honestly, that's the difference between what you're capable of and where you're at today. It's not about working harder. It's not about working longer. And uh, and so we saw that and we said, you know what? We got to change that. We got to get out of that environment. And that's where we took periodization and really adapted it to function in a business setting, to function in a personal setting. And as you know, we redefined a year. We said a year is no longer 12 months, it's 12 weeks. Now that may sound like semantics, but if you understand that framework we went through, then you begin to understand the power of the 12-week year.